Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Weekly Notice with your host, Andy Ngo. We are now on episode 15. As always, please leave your questions and comments throughout the hour, and I will get towards it in the end. Before we start, I just want to say there's been it's been really difficult for me to see um, this reactivation of far left political violence in America ever since the Roe v. Wade um, decision was made public. And it's not surprising to me that in Portland, above all places, there's been the most violence. Um, there's been now, within a period of 10 days, 6 violent direct actions that have resulted in arson, um, dozens of businesses and buildings and homes where windows were smashed out, drivers attacked on the street, people walking with their families being brutally assaulted. Out of these 6 violent direct actions, there have been at best 1 arrest. Um, and there's some question around that arrest that happened because it's not entirely clear if that arrest was even related to the riot. It was near it, but it's not entirely clear if that person was actually part of the riot group. And as always, all the violent direct actions are announced beforehand on social media. I try really hard to bring attention to that so that people are aware that these things are done out really in the open. It's not a secret. I mean, a lot of the organizing is done secretively through their encrypted chats in terms of who belongs to what brigade, who brings what weapons, who brings what explosives, the change of clothing in case they need to change their appearance if they have been engaging in violence. But much of it is done right on the open, right on Twitter, right in front of our eyes, actually. So it's disturbing for me to see this happen again. I mean, we've had 2 years of it. We had 6 months of it basically nonstop in Portland, Oregon, a major city in the United States. And with all my reporting, there's no political will to respond to it. And journalists, by and large, have been cowed out of fear and out of violence against themselves from reporting on it, from getting the video, from getting the photographs. Last week, I discussed how even a middle-aged woman who went out to record was not safe. She was attacked by the mob. So, okay, all right. Let's just get started. I'm going to highlight 2 of the violent direct actions that have taken place just since last week. Give me a second to pull it up. And thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm starting to recognize some of the screen names, by the way. And so I'm developing a loyal audience who's tuning in every week. Your time is really valuable. And so it means a lot to me. And I know I'm not always the most entertaining presenter, so I really appreciate that you show up nonetheless, because information is interesting even when I'm not. That's okay. Please follow me on GitHub, follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube, and if you can, join me on Patreon or Locals or Subscribestar. I really need your support to be able to continue to do this type of work full time. Okay, so since last week, one of the violent direct actions by Antifa in Portland occurred on the 1st of July. This would have been the 5th violent riot. And this was the flyer that was put up. This is one of the main Antifa accounts in Portland, Digit Pal. There's a lot of violent extremism on this account on Twitter, and this is also one of the outlets for where these criminal violent direct actions are um, advertised. So yeah, it was the gathering place was Peninsula Park in Portland. Meeting time 9 p.m. Moving at 10. So the meeting at night. Here's a still of the group. They were in black bloc. They brought their umbrellas. They shut down the street with impunity. And over, what happens is police don't respond anymore. They actually quite early on stated that they just don't have the resources to respond. So, as you can imagine, that has only emboldened and empowered far less violent extremists to continue to go out and organize and to attack and carry out other criminal acts. This is one of the windows that the buildings that they just smashed out. Glass everywhere. This is, it's been done now hundreds of times since George Floyd died. I mean, it happened before then, but since I've been tracking it meticulously, it's been going on literally for years now. And most of the people who do get arrested, if they get arrested, get their cases dropped anyways, or they get something like a probation in the end if it even goes to a conviction. So this is a video that was recorded by a Twitter user named Cocaine Michelle. You should follow her on Twitter. She does good work. She's really brave to go out. So what she captured was Antifa attacking two women. So they went after, I'll play this video. They went after a photographer with the Oregonian named Beth Nakamura is her name, and then they went over this videographer, Michelle, and they assaulted her. They punched her. I'll just play it for you.
Fuck you! Oh! You! Put the fucking camera down! You!
Yeah, so after that man charged at the woman who's recording, she was punched. I'll play this again. It's dark at night, but they first went after an Oregonian photographer, and then they went after the woman recording the video.
Fuck you! Oh! You! Put the fucking camera down! You!
So the media press organizations have been quiet, as usual, even when journalists are attacked over and over. Society of Professional Journalists in Oregon remains silent. The U.S. Press Freedom Tracker is silent. And so for me as a journalist, it's when I see that the organizations that take our money, when we become members, like let's say the Society of Professional Journalists, for them to not respond, to remain silent, I interpret that as they don't see this as an issue. They don't see it as an issue when left-wing violent extremists go after journalists. That's really kind of the state of so many legacy organizations in America, unfortunately. Yeah, so that night on the 1st of July, there's a Catholic church that's nearby that park that had to cancel its prayer event and board up its windows. So this is also an attack it's not just an attack on freedom of expression and freedom of the press, it's also an attack by Antifa on freedom of religion as well. And this terrorizing of citizens that have nothing to do with decisions that are made in the courts in DC. But nonetheless, Antifa feel it is their role, their mandate to terrorize the public into fearing them. So that was on the 1st of July, and 3 days after that, on the 4th of July holiday, the worst riot happened in Portland in all of this year. So Antifa had announced the 4th of July riot days ahead of time. And it's their tradition to do a flag burning event on the 4th of July to show how much they hate America and hate the country and the Constitution that gives them the protected right to do these activities. But then after the flag burning, then they do the criminal acts, which is the rioting. And so a flyer was posted online by this account, Wolf Child PDX, using the name Concrete Milkshake. And that's a reference to in 2019 when myself and others were beaten and pelted with drinks. Portland police said that one of their sergeants, I believe it was, on the ground examined some of this liquid that was thrown on people and believed that it had been tainted with some chemical mix, possibly being quick drying cement. So Antifa are very proud of that, I guess, legacy that possibly their comrades have done that. And they posted this account posted a flyer July 4th, gathering at Lonsdale Square. Lonsdale Square is the small park or grassy area that's right in front of the Justice Center. It's in front of the federal courthouse that Antifa attacked in Portland in 2020. It's also right by City Hall. So, it's an area that you think would be secure, but it's where they're most active, where they often gather as their base. So this flyer was posted by this Antifa member named Sky Cloud Sodia. And this is a booking arrest photo from last year. So he was arrested at Antifa riot last year on charge of felony assault on a police officer and disorderly conduct. The case was dropped. He does have prior felony convictions for burglary and selling methamphetamine. Sky Cloud Sodia, unsurprisingly, calls for the abolishment of law enforcement, and given his own violent criminal convictions, you can see why the Antifa ideology would appeal to him and comrades like him. So the 4th of July Antifa direct action in downtown was it was the most violent out of the 6 because that night there were a lot of people that were returning home there was a blues music festival on the waterfront in downtown. There were a fireworks show that was going on, and people were heading home. Families, mothers, fathers, and children, and a lot of them unfortunately had a cross paths with Antifa as they shut down the streets illegally and were starting fires and shooting fireworks and trying to set the federal courthouse on fire. And police were even more short-staffed than usual. One, because it was a holiday, and two, what few officers were on duty were responding to other incidents around the city. The 4th of July is a day when there are a lot of car accidents because people are drinking. There's a lot of people moving around in transit, going to events, leaving events. And Antifa took advantage of that. So they smashed up downtown. They assaulted people. This was a post from an Antifa journalist, if you will, describing what he had witnessed. An elderly man has fallen over and is bleeding. He says that these people pushed him down, referring to the block. This was later corroborated by a report to the police. It was a man who was leaving the music festival with his family who got attacked and beaten to the ground by Antifa. They were attacking, smashing up cars on the street. They've done that already at their other riots, so they did it again. Smashing up businesses. This is the where the Oregon Symphony plays. Like things that are completely apolitical, they still target and play video. See, windows smashed up completely at this cafe, and there are workers inside cleaning when it happened. So Antifa as a mob, they just go, they shut down the street and then they go one by one, smashing up businesses. They also attacked the World Trade Center, by the way, in downtown Portland, which they had done multiple times in 2020. Here they smashed up the windows and glass. And what Antifa was saying is pretty significant too. This is from an Antifa account in Portland. 4th of July, fun fact. No one will hear a window shatter tonight, and if anyone calls 911 to report it, they're going to be in a hold forever anyway due to NIMBYs reporting fireworks. Look how insidious that is. It's like they're boasting about the fact that they can hurt people and people can call 911 and police aren't able to respond. Now, like, is it clear now part of the reason why there was so much effort by Antifa to abolish and defund police? Like, this gives you just like a little taste of what they want their vision of society to be. It's for them to be able to beat, assault, kill, burn with impunity, and the fact that their victims will have absolutely no recourse anywhere, either in that moment or later legally. Chaz also gives that autonomous zone in Seattle in 2020 that became deadly is also another taste of what their world vision looks like, by the way. And this is from that same Antifa account. Downtown could have burned to the ground tonight and the police wouldn't have responded. Just an observation that tonight could have went better. So they carried out a lot of violence, but some were disappointed that it wasn't violent enough. And then they posted a link to a Portland Antifa blog that's really extreme. Some more photographs of the buildings and banks and businesses that they smashed up. This is the target, by the way. They also wrote extremist graffiti all around. You kill Black people, we kill you. Microsoft Store. They also targeted City Hall that night, although they didn't appear to smash out any windows like they've done many times. They just wrote things like abort America and stop killing us. And, there are a lot of security cameras at these government buildings that they target, but police don't make arrests. This is the remnants of the area on Lonsdale Square where they had gathered to burn a whole bunch of American flags. So, even in the best of times where, let's say, they don't try to hurt people on the street, hurt families, the areas that take over, they just destroy it. They leave a huge mess for the city and taxpayers to clean up. There was a moment that went viral, by the way. So let me pull up her again. This user, Haley Bo Bailey, she's a really big Instagram and Twitter star. And she was one of the people that was randomly attacked in downtown. So she had been She attended a fireworks show in downtown Portland and was going home. This is at nighttime. And Antifa has shut down traffic on the street. The cars were stopped. Nobody was trying to run them over or anything like that. People are like terrified. And I'll play you the video. They attacked her, even though they were completely stopped. They jump on her car and smash the window. And you can just see how terrified the woman and girl is in this video. This is on the 4th of July in downtown Portland.
Are they peaceful?
Sorry, let me turn off my camera. Okay.
Are they peaceful?
I hope. I don't know.
Oh my god! Abby, stay in the car.
Oh.
Abby, stay in the car.
You got that on video, right? Okay.
What the fuck?
Okay. Can you guys still hear and see me? I see that it's gone black. This is weird. One moment. Let me do just a little troubleshooting. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry, everyone. I don't know how much of that video played, so I'm going to play it through the browser. Okay, here.
Are they peaceful?
I hope. I don't know.
Oh my god! Abby, stay in the car.
Oh.
Abby, stay in the car.
You got that on video, right? Okay.
What the fuck? Should I tell Chris to come down?
Did you
Do I
say?
need to do anything?
No. I mean, that's nothing. What are we gonna do? I'm not gonna fight him. That is insane.
Do I need to do anything?
No, pause the video. Stop the video.
Did you guys notice that at one point, right there, one of the Antifa members photographs the car and the people inside? So they do this, by the way, to gather intel on the victims that they target so that they can potentially dox them later. The woman who posted this, who uses the name Haley Bailey, she's a really big name on Instagram in particular and TikTok. So when she posted the video on her TikTok, it got like over 2 million views just overnight. And I'm going to show you what Antifa wrote to justify their actions, and you can see how they lie. So what they posted online, and I don't think they knew that there was video at this time, but they claimed that the driver was trying to run them over and kill them, which is complete BS, as you can see in the video here. It's make, total, destroy. If you're upset by tactics of self-defense, realize that it's going to get uglier and the decisions that will have to be made in split seconds will get dicier. People tried to kill us with their cars last night. We defended ourselves. No apologies. And then they quoted Heather Heyer, which was the Antifa woman who was killed in Charlottesville several years ago. If you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. So this is just, as always, they have a justification for anything. It doesn't matter how horrifying and wrong the violence is. Like, even if they kill somebody, it's just justification. And the justification here was, well, based on a lie. Nobody tried to kill them. But even if, let's say, one of the cars that they attacked try to flee from the attack, then they would say, well, that's why we attacked you, because you didn't follow our commands. So I hope what this demonstrates is that it doesn't matter to Antifa if you follow their commands or not. If you're unlucky, they will just attack you and smash up your property like that. And Haley and her family in that car were really lucky that one of them, let's say, didn't go out to ask what's going on, and because I mean they would have been beaten badly. Um, his video showing so when Antifa was smashing up the buildings and such, they were throwing explosive fireworks inside, and they do that in the hopes of setting the place on fire, or injuring anybody else that may be inside. This is downtown Portland that same night. Everything I'm showing you is from the same night in downtown Portland. Again. Yeah, so Portland has a fireworks ban. That's courtesy of Joanne Hardesty, the token Black woman on City Council who was elected because of Portland's white guilt, and she's been the most. She's a conspiracy theorist. In 2020, she said that police were behind the arson attacks at the riots, and she had to walk that back eventually because people asked her what evidence she had to accuse the Portland police of a felony conspiracy like that. She had none. She made it up. She's the one who calls for police, who advocated for police to be defunded, and then it was later revealed to have called the police on her Lyft driver when she was coming back from a night of gambling and was unable to drive herself. So yeah, she boasted about a firework ban, and well, I mean there were all these Antifa militants setting off explosives and fireworks in downtown Portland on the 4th of July, and well, it was illegal, and well, police didn't respond. So it just shows you kind of how meaningless and ineffective those on city council are. Of course, the mayor has been silent through really all these attacks, and yeah, that's how ineffective city government is in Portland. This is a video from a woman who was marching with the Antifa. Her name is Danielle James. She's a BLM activist in Portland. She was on the ground a lot at many of the violent protests in 2020. But even she was really sick at what she saw that night on the 4th of July, and she called them out very clearly. And good for her for being brave enough to voice her opinion, what her thoughts are, because Antifa do not like it when people within their group disagree with what they do.
So, I don't know who the fuck this group is out here, or what their reason for being out here is even. But all this fuck shit that's going on out here tonight, somebody got to answer to me. I want to know what the fucking reason is. I want to know why we're randomly beating up people, or not we. I want to know why folks are doing this shit. I want to know why random cars are being fucking attacked. I want to know what the reason is. I want to know what the fucking reason is. I mean, because if you don't have one, that shit's embarrassing as fuck. And that's the reason why the fuck people come out here and complain about people having protests. That's the reason.
Yeah. So at the beginning, I said there was one arrest out of like all 6 of these violent direct actions by Antifa, but it's not even clear if that one arrest had anything to do with the riot. So on the 4th of July, after Antifa carried out their night of carnage, police said that they witnessed a suspect vandalizing a building, and they chased this individual down. This moment was caught on video. This was the only arrest that night, and this was near the riot. It's unknown at this point if the suspect, Michael Andrew Kensler, was part of the Antifa riot. He's from Saratoga, California, but just watch. The arrest happened, I think, only because there was a Good Samaritan bystander who tackles the fleeing suspect.
Please stop! Stop! Thank you. Get on your stomach. Put your hands on your back.
No, get out of there. Bro, they're good. Get out of there.
So the suspect who was arrested here was not taken into jail. He was just cited on the spot and then let go. Yeah, that's that suspect there is Michael Andrew Kensler. Danielle James, the BLM activist, also recorded. She did a live stream the following day and just called out the BS of, I guess, her comrades, because of the lies that they had put out online. Is that they were, defending themselves from drivers who were trying to kill them, which was a lie. And she calls them out and play video of like just a snippet from her live stream.
So let me say this. People tried to drive into the crowd and kill you guys. I stood in the fucking park. So don't keep trying to say motherfuckers was trying to drive through y'all last night, because that wasn't the fucking case. I literally stood there and witnessed some fuck shit. Straight up fuck shit last night. Boo-boo, so it's not about being angry about this and this and that last night because the cars tried to kill y'all. I don't know what reality you bitches fucking live in, but I literally saw one token black man that all you white motherfuckers was tokenizing because of his size and height, and had him doing dumb shit down there. I didn't understand why people were chasing cars, literally chasing cars down to fuck them up. I didn't understand why people would pull up and stop, and y'all would instantly do some fuck shit to them. That's not activism. That's fucking being a bitch ass bully, is what the fuck that is.
Yeah, so well, she's right. That's why you notice that I don't call these people activists or protesters, because smashing up property, terrorizing the public that's not protesting. These are violent criminal acts. And she was a witness to the BS. Nobody was trying to run them over. They were attacking people who were stopped in the street, and then they ran after and targeted people after the drivers were going on their way. So good for her for saying this. And she also mentions that yes, they're all white, and they do tokenize people of color because there's so few in the Antifa movement. So whenever there's one, they elevate them. They kind of give them a place of worship. They help bail them out if they commit violent acts. They help aid them in violent criminal acts, like give them weapons, help them, give them supplies. They also do that to like really young people who are minors as well. There was a person who threw a bomb that he was given by Antifa in 2020. He was 18. He was just a few months after turning 18. He was the one that grew up in the foster system. I talked about him before, Gabriel. And he was the one who ended up being federally convicted. So not the Antifa people who gave him the weapons, by the way. So yeah, that violence in Portland impacted a lot of people, and there are employees who are like terrified to go to work. I'm just going to play a little bit of some local news reporting. Coin News has done some really good work covering the 4th of July Antifa violent direct action.
A night full of fun for many families in downtown Portland last night, but for many, it ended in destruction and fear. It's 10 o'clock. I'm Jeff Gianola.
And I'm Elizabeth Din. Tonight, we are hearing from people who live and work in downtown Portland impacted by that vandalism last night, both from crowds of demonstrators and from random individuals.
As the city continues to face record reports of vandalism, Elise Haas going beyond the headlines to show how it's hurt the daily lives of Portlanders. I know you talked to a lot of folks tonight, Elise.
I did. I talked to a few employees at the Buffalo Wild Wings that was hit downtown, as well as a resident who lives downtown. And they say that this is not the city that they chose to live and work in. Coin 6 was in downtown Portland as a crowd of around 100 people dressed in black marched through the streets, breaking businesses' windows, wreaking havoc on the 4th of July holiday.
You have to keep working, and a lot of us need that money.
Waitresses at Buffalo Wild Wings downtown say some of their coworkers called out sick today because they don't feel safe coming here.
So it's like, what do you do in that position where I can't walk outside or walk home or do anything without feeling like I have to look behind my back? And whether or not we agree with them, it doesn't matter, because we're still going to be harmed in the way because we're just collateral damage.
Damage that is so often caught on camera, like this man seen throwing a rock and bashing his head to break the window of a small Portland copying company overnight.
It was just, no rhyme or reason to it.
Doug Richards lives downtown. Whether it's vandalism by a mob or a one-off like this, he says local businesses deserve better from authorities. The city needs to step up and show that they're willing to get back to a livable city.
Because that's what Portland was.
And I talked to another employee at Buffalo Wild Wings that did not feel comfortable on going on camera. However, she told me that that violent crowd maced her in the face last night.
Yeah, so that wasn't reported either, other than through Coin News. They assaulted a woman who was working at Buffalo Wild Wings, in addition to all the other people they terrorize. There's the violence, by the way, has evolved a little bit from 2020 because now there are much fewer police on the ground. The violence has now, a lot of it's been directed towards private security. So businesses have been having to rely on private security because, well, they unfortunately cannot rely on Portland police to be able to respond, even like in downtown Portland, and literally in front of the Central Police Station. And so now private security are being targeted. Antifa say that private security are just cops as well, so they're fair game, and it's turned deadly. I'm going to play another video from Coin News.
A security guard for Eclipse Security Professionals was working near Legacy Emmanuel early Sunday when he was targeted by a gunman getting out of a parked car.
And was out doing some patrols in the North Portland area. And while driving down the street, somebody had exited out of a vehicle and began shooting at him.
The patrol unit was shot at 6 times, but the guard was able to get away and made it to a PPB officer on Northeast Rodney. Eclipse owner Mark Mercer says it's still unclear who targeted the guard and why.
I don't know if there is a reason for it because we don't know who the person is as of this time.
This was the second attack on a private security guard within a week in Portland. On June 26th, the security guard was attacked by a trespasser on Southeast Division who got his gun out of the holster and shot him in the chest. Luckily, a ballistic vest saving his life. The incident's just adding to a string of recent attacks on guards while working. In early May, Sir Charles Mark Anthony Jones, a security guard working the South Waterfront, was shot and killed in his vehicle. In April, a gun was pulled on a security guard at the Troutdale Outlet Mall by a group of shoplifters. And in March, a security guard in Old Town was stabbed in the head.
There just seems to be a very a callous and lawless attitude towards any kind of a uniformed presence or any kind of authority.
Mercer says it's...
Yeah, so last year, by the way, when the city federal officials tried removing some of the heavy-duty fencing barrier outside the federal courthouse, that morning, Antifa held their direct action where they targeted some banks. And in one of there's a video, some of you may recall, it's really traumatic footage where they were trying to force their way, break inside a bank, and there was a security officer there who's armed, and he had to ready his firearm. Like, that's how dangerous it is for them. And by the way, that fence, it's still back up. The city began dismantling it, and then because Antifa then just rushed to the federal courthouse and began attacking it that day, and then they had to put it all back up. So yeah, so for those who joined late and missed the beginning, please leave your questions and comments for me. I'll get to them soon. Please share, retweet my content, follow me here on social media, and if you can, please support me on Patreon, local, so Subscribestar. The link is in my bio here. On all my social media, you can see my link tree. I wanted to show some more pictures of some of the graffiti messages from many of the direct actions in Portland. Unfortunately, I'm named in a lot of them by Antifa. So this was at a different direct action at the late June, where Antifa gathered with pro-abortion protesters and vandalized and smashed up things. But here you can see again, they wrote "Spoon says kill Andy Ngo." So that's quite a. I mean, they called for mass murder against their opponents, meaning kill the Supreme Court. Let's see. Abortions are lit as F. Kill lawmakers. This is right near the federal courthouse, by the way. Kill Ngo. Kill Andy Ngo. Kill Andy Ngo. Voting got us here. It's time to effing riot. Spoon says kill Andy Ngo. Spoon is the moniker of one of the late Antifa members named Jacob Camello. I talked about him in one of my other live streams before, but it killed itself last year. And ever since then, Antifa have been vandalizing things and writing the name Spoon, I guess, in its memory and honor and legacy, and frequently uses that name to call for their comrades to kill me. I'm going to pull up some more of their graffiti. Yeah. Some more on a different day. Spoon says kill Andy. Kill all cops. This is Antifa in Portland. This is in chalk. I guess it's better than the graffiti paint. It says all white people are racist. Yeah. So that was just Portland that I was talking about so far in this episode. There's another very important story that I have to get to. It's out of Asheville, North Carolina. So I've never actually been to Asheville. If you read my book Unmasked, please pick it up, by the way, if you haven't yet. I talk about Asheville a bit. It's the far left stronghold of the American South, if you will. It's in North Carolina. It's a very liberal, hippie town. Obviously, its politics are quite different than the rest of North Carolina. It's very radical, and there's a lot of far left militantism there. So there's been 2 arrests that happened on the 4th of July. There was a left-wing direct action that was held at the site of a former monument in Asheville. It was up to 2020. Up to last year, there was a monument to former Governor Vance, and he was part of the Confederacy, and he had there are loose links to slavery through that, and so BLM and left-wing activists in Asheville successfully got the memorial removed, but that site of what's left is still an area of protest, and there was a bombing at the site. Nobody was injured. Asheville police did describe the devices that were used in explosions as pipe bomb-like. There were 2 arrests related to it. So one of the arrests is of a man named Duncan Andrew Small. This is a picture of him. So he was charged with possessing a weapon of mass destruction, being armed to terrorize and another gun-related charge. The Asheville police released some pictures of what the bombing suspects had on them. I thought this was very well. I mean, look, so it says F cops. It's an acronym, and it's like a list of how to more easily get away with committing crimes. Antifa also promote like a similar checklist type thing. F, forget your phone and camera at home. Unite with your affinity group in the streets. Affinity group is another name. It's their lingo to describe like their cells, or other cells that are allied with them. Buddy up. I thought, look, C, center, BIPOC, BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color, queer, trans, disabled. Put your privilege into action and show the F up for liberation. They had a walkie-talkie. They had this anarchist the pamphlet zine with them, Life Without Law. And they also had zip ties. That was the first person that was arrested. The other one is Chioke Alden Fugate. He had the same charges, possessing a weapon of mass destruction and going on to terrorize. So his bail was set at $15,000, and it was covered. He's out. They had riot gear, and this is some of the gun-like things they had. So that's a vintage revolver on the top. I don't know if it's functioning. And then that's a flare. I don't know if the flare gun was used to help ignite the explosive devices, but they had that on their possession. This was them at a prior pro-abortion rally. So they had been together and photographed together previously. And this is from part of the press release from the Asheville Police Department. Asheville Police Department arrested 2 demonstrators Monday night who ignited improvised explosive devices at Pack Square at the site of the former Vance Monument as spectators were departing the July 4th Independence Day. It lists out the charges. Asheville Police Bomb Squad responded to the scene and located the remnants of an exploded IED at Pack Square. Bomb Squad commander stated the size of the device used in nature of the energetic materials therein presented a clear threat to human life, especially in light of its use in such a densely populated area. And there was another arrest shortly before the bombing, because before the bombing there was a direct action protest there, and there was this man, David Paul Erickson, who allegedly assaulted a person there, and then when police responded to that, he allegedly tried to strangle the cop. So he was charged with assault by strangulation, assaulting a government employee, and more. And police released this picture, hoping that people can identify these people of interest in relation to the bombing in Asheville, North Carolina, at the site of the former Vance Memorial. And you can go on my social media to see this link, but the contact information for the Asheville police is readily available online. So if you recognize these people of interest, contact the Asheville police. Okay, give me a second to drink some water and to get to your questions and comments. You can still send them in right now, last minute. Wow, there's a lot. Thanks everyone for joining in on this live stream. Okay. This is a good question. Hold on. Okay, So somebody asked, can you give us more information about Robert Crimo? Um, this is the booking photo for Robert Crimo. So I don't know what Robert's uh, pronouns are. Robert is identified as a man by police and all that, but he was wearing women's clothing. Police say that that was to help him aid in his escape. But yeah, anyways, so Robert is the suspect in the deadly mass shooting that happened on the 4th of July in Highland Park, which is a nice, wealthy suburb of Chicago. So there were many, many families and people enjoying July 4th parade. And he allegedly, from a building top, used a semi-automatic rifle to gun people down. And a lot of people were killed and a lot were injured. And then he went on the run. He was apprehended alive. Police did chase him in a car, and then eventually he stopped and he followed the law enforcement commands to get on to put his hands up and to get on the ground. That's quite in contrast, by the way, to Jayland Walker in Akron, Ohio, which a lot of BLM people rioted over. He was a masked gunman who fled in a car and shot at police. And once he stopped the car, tried fleeing on foot, and he was shot dead by police. So the question, can you give us more information about him? Robert Crimo, well, that's about as much information as I can give, unfortunately. There's not really more that I know. Police, I think what a lot of people are interested in on the right and the left is, was he motivated by like political terrorism? Was he far right? Was he far left? Police have said so far that they have no evidence that of a particular motive. So I will repeat that. I think it's very unhelpful when people make speculations. As soon as his name was released, I tried looking up his social media. It's a lot of weird stuff, like pictures that don't really make sense. And I mean, he was a rapper, the music, and well, he looks disturbed. And based on the information we're hearing from investigators, the fact that he had already allegedly expressed violent extremist tendencies in the past and yet was able to purchase firearms legally. Unfortunately, these issues of these ultra mass shootings keep happening in America. In addition to, I guess, the more regular mass shootings, which happen every day in Black urban areas of America as well, which don't really get much attention at all. So unfortunately, I'm not able to give more information than what authorities have already given. Next question. Mama 10 asks, why do the residents allow violence in Portland? I don't understand. They allow it because they're scared and they're quite helpless. I mean, what can you do? If you live in downtown, let's say you have a business and you are attacked or your business gets smashed up, you call the police. The police won't respond for quite a while. When they do respond, they'll take a police report. And by that point, the rioters are long gone. If you happen to have footage of it from security cameras, all the militants are masked up. So police just say, well, case is closed. We're not able to identify who the suspects are. And you're just on your own. And it happens over and over. That's like in the best of situations, right? Like where you have like photographic evidence. Unfortunately, I can speak from personal experience of when I was assaulted during the day in front of many, many cameras in front of pretty close to the federal courthouse where there are cameras on the building. Nobody was ever arrested over that. So, I mean, it's just the criminal justice system is really weak in Multnomah County where Portland is. And you can also then look to the policies that many voters supported. In 2020, there was a lot of pressure placed on the mayor and city council to defund police by a very loud, vocal minority after George Floyd died. And those on the reasonable left who could have pushed back chose not to, or they went along with it. and those who are against it have to suffer just like everybody else. In many cases, suffer more because they're targeted for their political views. Author Blake made a comment. What Antifa is doing seems like terrorism to me. This isn't a protest. Well, I agree. It's not a protest. In fact, the violent direct actions are done explicitly to terrorize the public. I mean, you can listen to them. They want people to be afraid so that they give in to the demands of the group, which is to abolish police and all this nonsense. But it's to terrorize the public. That's the goal. And if you, by the way, a lot of people say things like, why don't people just arm up? And if, they get confronted, stand their ground and fight back, shoot back. Well, the Antifa people are also armed with weapons like knives and projectiles and guns and rifles, which they openly brandish. And so, if you get in confrontation with them where they escalate violence against you, they won't hesitate to kill you. That's the other thing too. So you just kind of have to accept it's, be seriously injured, suffer property destruction, or take the risk that they could shoot you dead. CCP Delanda asks, why isn't the Chamber of Commerce or the businesses themselves up in arms over the rioting? Well, the business associations since 2020 have been trying to place pressure on the mayor. But it's my view that the business associations in Portland are quite weak. Portland is a very, very blue collar city. It's a working class city. It's working class, liberal, left wing, white city. And so it's not like New York or San Francisco, let's say, where those are also left wing places, but there's a lot of big business interests there that will only tolerate left-wing violence and destruction to a degree. When they start really feeling being hit financially, they will push back, and they carry a lot of weight because there's a lot of employment tied to them. There's a lot of money tied to it. Portland doesn't have very much of that. There's some, but there's not a lot. And so, and on top of that, what more pressure can they place on the city leadership, and the city leadership themselves are just unable to really respond? Have any of the proposals from the mayor in response to violence been effective? No. In fact, the most important time for the mayor to stand up to the left-wing violence was in the beginning, and he said a lot of things that empowered the far left in Portland and legitimize their political violence. I think he's come to regret that, even if he will never admit it publicly. But it's my view, because Antifa have also targeted him personally. They've gone to target him at his condo, at his home. They've chased him out of restaurants, things like that. So, yeah, okay. Psychrylix asks, other than independent journalists, is anyone else tracking the Antifa movement? Well, there's a anonymous collective of independent journalists with Antifa Watch who does a really amazing job on Twitter. I recommend you follow them. I think they have a Telegram too. I'm not sure, but they're really good at tracking the court hearings for the various suspects, and over and over we'll see cases get dropped, or there's sweetheart deals, only probation or just community service. So I recommend you follow them. But other than that, there's not very many. I mean, I've said this before. If you follow this as a beat, the establishment journalists and left-wing journalists will make sure to destroy your life and destroy your reputation. So even for journalists with integrity who have kind of a passing interest on this, they see that the price it's really heavy to cover it in depth, so they don't. A user, Florida Man, asks, can you upload these live streams to Odyssey later? So what I have in the works that I need to do, I'm just so busy with so much work, but I'm going to get to it soon, is to actually upload these live streams after they happen on other platforms. You know, in terms of a live stream, it's when it's live, it's exclusive to Getter right now. It's weekly notice on Getter. But after it happens, you know, there are for a number of reasons people can't join the Getter live stream at the time or whatever, or maybe they prefer YouTube or Odyssey or something else. And I'm gonna start uploading it on there. I have 15 episodes now, so there's quite a body of work to upload, and so I'll get to that. I'm sorry, there's been a delay. Okay. What else is there? Thank you for your question and comments, everyone, by the way. PK7 wrote, I value your bravery, candor, and journalism. Thank you. This work is, it's difficult, to say the least. It's not, one doesn't finish his work feeling good, because you're seeing criminals and violent extremists get away with hurting people. And when you cover it for years, as I've done now, and you see the same thing happening over and over, it can feel like a nightmare, Groundhog Day. And so I appreciate these comments of support. It helps, remind me that there's people who find the information important to know, and they're thankful for the work. And yeah, so thank you for that. I'm just going to close out by mentioning that I have a link tree, which is in my social media bio. It's just linktree/Andy Ngo. I mention it just because that's where all my links are. My website, the link to my locals and Patreon Subscribestar. If you go to my website, andy-ngo.com, there's a way for you to donate one time or recurring monthly to Stripe. You can also give on Cash App and Venmo, in Bitcoin even. My Cash App Venmo username is at Mr. Andy Ngo. It's the same handle that I use on my other social media. So if you can, please support my work. Please get my book. Read it if you haven't. The book documents things from 2020, but the stuff is still relevant to today because it's the same groups and networks and cells and people that are involved. And unfortunately, in that way, it's a bit evergreen, right? So, okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining this week's weekly notice. Have a good Friday, and I hope you all had a wonderful 4th of July, by the way. Unfortunately, there was a lot of violence in America. It's very painful to see that happening on a day where it should be a family holiday and for us to be thankful for our country. But yep, okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Goodbye.